Hello, my dear children. How are you all? So, पढ़ाई अच्छी तरह चल रही है, काम अच्छा हो रहा है, तैयारी अच्छी चल रही है. Carry on, लगे रहो. So today I'm back with you with yet another chapter from your book Flamingo, Going Places by A.R. Barton. Before going through the chapter, let me tell you something about Prep Life. Yes, my dear children, Prep Life. Prep Life NEET IIT-JEE is a digital platform which improves your skills to crack exams like NEET, AIIMS, IIT-JEE, NIT. My dear students, you can watch our videos to go get useful tips and highly interactive sessions related to NEET, IIT-JEE, mathematics, chemistry, biology, and physics. So please stay tuned with us. Do like, share, and also subscribe our channel to receive notifications regarding latest videos. So you can contact us on the following platforms. The links I'm going they have been shown on your screens. We are available on YouTube. We are available on Telegram. We are available on Facebook. And we are also available on Instagram. So do like our videos and please subscribe them. Thank you. Now let me tell you something about the author of this psychological story. A.R. Barton is a modern writer who lives in Zurich and writes in English. In the story Going Places, Barton explores the theme of adolescent fantasizing and hero worship. And hero worship हम fantasy करते हैं जो adolescents हैं. And now it's the time to introduce you to this the theme of this story. थीम ये स्टोरी जो है वो जो adolescents हैं आप लोग हैं जो बीच की उम्र के हैं टीनेजर्स हैं उनकी फैंटेसीज के बारे में है उनकी हीरो विश्वासिप के बारे में बहुत नेचुरल है ये तो टीनेजर्स की ना है टू हैव अनरियलिस्टिक ड्रीम्स यस इट्स क्वाइट नेचुरल स्पेशली व्हेन देयर फैमिलीज आर नॉट वेल ऑफ ये किस लिए है इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट that the socio-economic background plays a leading role in the lives of the youth for choosing a particular profession. यस सबसे बड़ा जो आपका रोल प्ले करता है आपका सोशियो इकोनॉमिक इकोनॉमिक बैकग्राउंड है द एक्ट ऑफ fantasizing may lead to miseries in case it is beyond our approach. सपने देखना बड़े बड़े कभी कभी हमें निराश कर देता है जब वो हमारी पहुंच से बाहर होते हैं इट इज यूजलेस टू बिल्ड कैसल्स इन द एयर हवाई किले बनाना जो है वो यूजफुल होता है और हम एडल्सेंट्स जो है हवाई किले बनाते हैं तो अब हम समरी करते हैं सो ये स्टोरी है दो दो सहेलियों की दो बचपन की सहेलियां हैं सोफी एंड जेंसी टीनेजर्स हैं स्कूल से वापस आ रही हैं वो एक बिस्किट फैक्ट्री में भी काम करती है सोफी अपने इमेजिनेशन में खोई हुई है कि वो एक बुटीक शॉप खोलेगी एक फेमस बन जाएगी बहुत फेमस होगी लाइक मेरी क्वेंट फैशन डिजाइनर जो थी बहुत बड़ी जेंसी उसे बताती हैं कि नॉट टू ड्रीम बिग एज इट रिक्वायर्स अ लॉट्स ऑफ मनी व्हिच दे डोंट हैव पैसा चाहिए इसके लिए जो उनके पास नहीं है to this she replies that she will become an actress first earn a lot and then own a boutique. Jancy being a realistic person doesn't support her thoughts. वो realistic है वो fantasies में नहीं जीती वो सपनों में नहीं जीती वो reality based लड़की वो उसके thoughts पसंद नहीं है on reaching homes Sophie feels shocked in the small house which is full of stove steam and looks untidy because of the dirty dishes छोटा सा घर है टूटा फूटा गंदा दो ही कमरे हैं, एक वही रसोई है, वही गुजरखाना है, वही सब कुछ है. His father is eating and his mother is busy in the kitchen. She goes to meet her elder brother, Geoff, who is a trainee mechanic and is busy repairing some motorcycle parts. Geoff talks very less about his personal life, which made her imagine of his personal life, which she considers very interesting and wants to be a part of it. She shares a secret with him that she met Danny Casey, the famous footballer, in a boutique, in an arcade, in a market, in a market. उसका भाई और उसका पिताजी उसको उसकी बात पे विश्वास नहीं करते. But she tries to make them believe this. Try करती है. She also tells her brother about her date with Casey. Casey ने मेरे साथ एक date fix की. Her brother doesn't believe her, but gives her a chance to believe her story. On Saturday, Sophie and her family go to watch football match. As all of them are great fans of football, their favorite team wins due to a goal made by Casey. All of them feel so overjoyed. When Sophie returns home and with her little brother Drac, Jancy questions her about the reality behind her meeting with Danny Casey. कहती है उसे विश्वास नहीं जेंसी को. कहते क्या सच्चाई क्या है ये जो बात तू कर रही है मैं डैनी कैसे से मिली थी. Sophie gets angry with her brother because of letting her secret out, but tries to handle the situation and succeeds. She then visits a secret place near a canal to meet her hero Casey, who doesn't show up. She knows that it was just her imagination, but she was so lost in his love that she doesn't want to come out of this. In the end, she returns back to her home with sadness in her heart. But when she comes across the Royce's boutique, she again finds herself lost in her hero's dreams. This is what this story is, my dear children. सपने देखते हैं हम, वैसे सपने जो पूरे नहीं हो सकते है. हर एडल्सेंट, हर नवयुवक, हर नवयुवती ये देखती है. हर. सो अब टाइम है लेसन की एक्सप्लेनेशंस का. सो शुड वी स्टार्ट विद इट? ओके, let us start with the explanation part of the story. When I leave, Sophie said, and coming home from school, I am going to have a boutique. Boutique means? Boutique का क्या मतलब होता है? एक ऐसी जगह जहां कपड़े भी मिलते हैं और उनकी सिलाई भी होती है. Fashionable. Jonesy linking arms with her along the street. Looks doubtful. Takes money, something like that. I'll find it, Sophie said, staring far down the street. Take you a long time to save that much. Well, I will be a manager then, yes, of course, to begin with, till I've got enough. But anyway, I know just how it's all going to look. That won't make you manager. That won't make you manager straight off. I'll be like Mary Quant, Sophie said. It will be natural. Mary Quant was a very famous designer. They will see it from the start, and I will have the most amazing shop in the city ever seen. अब स्टोरी जो स्टार्ट होती है वो कन्वर्सेशन है दो टीन एज गर्ल्स सोफी और जेंसी के बीच. सोफी अपने विचारों की दुनिया में, इमेजिनेशंस की, ख्वाबों की दुनिया में खोई रहती. जेंसी उसके बिल्कुल अपोजिट है, टोटली अपोजिट है. सोफी इमेजिन करती है कि वो एक दिन एक बुटीक के मालिक बनेगी, एक फैशन डिजाइनर बनेगी, बुटीक की मालिक बनेगी, एक ऐसी जगह जहां वो फैशनेबल क्लोथ्स बेच सके. और जेंसी फील करती है कि इसके लिए बहुत सारा पैसा चाहिए जो उनके पास नहीं है. वो उन्हें और जेंसी सोफी को ये भी बताती है कि बहुत समय लगता है इतना पैसा जोड़ने के लिए. और इस पर सोफी जवाब देती है कि वो एक मैनेजर बन जाएगी और फिर वो बहुत सारा पैसा सेव करेगी. फिर स्टार्ट करेगी अपना बुटीक. She is then interrupted by Jancy as she tells her that nobody will hire her straight up as to a managerial post. कोई भी नहीं देगा. स्कूल से पास आउट है तो कौन देगा? अभी तो स्कूल भी नहीं पास किया तुमने. Sophie changes her plan and decided to be a fashion icon like Mary Quant. कहती है मैं तो एक एक्ट्रेस बन जाऊंगी. एक्टिंग में तो बहुत पैसा है. ठीक है. अब she also adds that she will have the best boutique shop that no one had ever seen in the city. Jancy. When they reached Sophie's street, Jancy said, "It's only few months away now. Soph, you really should be sensible. They don't pay well for shop work. You know that. Your dad would never allow it. Or an actress. Now there's a real money in that, yes. And I could maybe have a boutique on the side. Actresses don't work full time, do they? Anyway, date or a fashion designer, you know something a bit sophisticated, worldly, both acha." And she turned in through the open street door, leaving Jessie standing in the rain. If I will come into money, I will buy a boutique. If you ever come into money, if you ever come into money, you will buy us a plus decent house to live in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Up. जेंसी जो है वो रियलिस्टिक पर्सन, वो जानती है एक रियलिटी कि वो एक बिस्कुट फैक्ट्री में काम करने वाली है. ऑन हियरिंग सोफीज थॉट्स वो उदास हो जाती है. और जब वो सोफी की स्ट्रीट पर पहुंचती है, जेंसी ट्राइज टू एक्सप्लेन हर द रियलिटी ऑफ देयर लाइफ. वो कहती है, शी टेल्स हर दैट दे डोंट रिसीव मच एट द फैक्ट्री वेयर दे वर्क. She also tells her that her dad wouldn't allow her to leave the job. Sophie, on the other hand, is still lost in her dreams, still lost in her dreams. She says that she can also be an actress as it would earn her a lot of money. बहुत पैसा मिलेगा, एक्ट्रेस बन जाएगी. और फिर साइड बिजनेस, साइड में बुटीक खोल लूंगी क्योंकि एक्ट्रेसेस को पूरा दिन तो काम करना नहीं पड़ता. जब वो घर पहुंचती है, सोफी अपने घर में दाखिल होती है और दरवाजे के अंदर जाती है. रेंजेंसी बाहर अकेली है, बरसात में. सोफी स्टिल मर्मरिंग द सेम सेंटेंस दैट इफ शी विल गेट इनटू मनी शी विल बाय अ बुटीक. और घर में से कोई जो है उसे टीज करता है. इफ शी एवर हैज मनी, वो उन्हें एक अच्छा घर, परिवार को अच्छा घर लेके दे रहने के लिए, परिवार को अच्छा घर लेके दे रहने के लिए. तो सोफीज फादर was scoping. स्कोपिंग का मतलब है ईटिंग, ईटिंग, ईटिंग. शेपर्ड स्पाई जो है वो एक नाम है एक ईटेबल का. into his mouth as hard as he could. His plump face, plump का मतलब होता है plump, मोटा, मोटा, मोटा. His plump face, मोटा, लंबा चौड़ा. Still grimy, grimy means dirty, soiled, dirty, and sweat marked from the day. She thinks money grows on trees, doesn't she, Dad? Said little Derek, hanging on the back of his father's chair. Their mother sighed. Oh, ठंडी सांस लेना, साई करना, ठंडी सांस लेना. Sophie washed her back, stooped मतलब झुकी हुई, झुकी हुई, झुकी हुई, stooped over the sink and wondered at the incongruity. Incongruity का मतलब होता है inappropriate, inappropriate, जो कि किसी बात को appropriate नहीं करती. The delicate bow, which was fastened on apron strings, the delicate seeming bow and the crooked back. Crooked मतलब bent. Here crooked मतलब bent back. The evening had already blacked in the windows, and the small room was steamy from the stove and cluttered. Cluttered matlab untidy, and cluttered means untidy, dirty, with a heavy breathing man in his vest at the table and the dirty washing piled up in the corner. Sophie felt a tightening in her throat. She went to look for her brother Geoff. सोफी फादर जो है वो शेपर्स पाई खा रहे थे. उसका चेहरा जो है गंदा था, धूल से और पसीने से. उसका छोटा बेटा भाई डेरेक ने कहा अपने पिताजी के कि सोफी सोचती है कि पैसा पेड़ों पर उगता है. वो उसने आंसू फिर किया. शी वॉज नॉट रियलिस्टिक. हर मदर, शी वॉज बिजी विद हर वर्क, took a deep breath. Sophie noticed her working in the kitchen. Her mother had stooping shoulders, झुके हुए. They were bent forward. She had tied an apron on her back, which was bent and not in the right shape. Maybe she looked so because of the heavy burden of the work on her. It was turning dark, and the house was full of steam, and the kitchen was messed up with a litter. गंदगी थी चारों तरफ. She felt uncomfortable, so she went up to her brother Geoff. She went up to her brother Geoff. He was kneeling का मतलब होता है झुका हुआ on the floor in the next room, tinkering means repairing with a part of his motorcycle. Tinkering means repairing. Tinkering means repairing with a part of his motorcycle over some newspaper spread on the carpet. He was 3 years out of the school, an apprentice. Apprentice means a learner. Apprentice means a learner. काम सीखने वाला. Traveling to his work each day to the far side of the city. He was almost grown up now, and she suspected areas of his life about which he knew nothing, about which he never spoke. He said little to her, even voluntarily. Words had to be prized out from him like stones out of the ground. And she was jealous of her silence. When he was not speaking, it was as though he was away somewhere out in the world in those places she had never been. Whether they were only the outlying districts of the city or places beyond in the surrounding country, who knew? They attained a special fascination, captivation. Special fascination means special captivation. Fascination. Fascination means captivation. Simply because they were unknown to her and remained out of her reach. अब क्या था? जॉब दूसरे कमरे में था, बैठा हुआ था, घुटनों के बल ऑन द कार्पेट, कुछ मोटरसाइकिल के पार्ट रिपेयर कर रहा था जो कि बिखरे हुए थे एक न्यूज़पेपर पर. He was a trainee mechanic who has left his school 3 years ago. He had to travel long distances in search of work. सोफी कभी कभी डाउटफुल होती थी अबाउट हिज ब्रदर, क्योंकि वो ज्यादा बोलता नहीं था. उसके मुंह से शब्द निकालने पड़ते थे, वो चुप रहता था. Therefore, she always imagined about the way of life her brother led. She was so jealous of her silence because she wanted to know the places that he used to visit. She thought that there could be some distant places of the city or maybe some countryside. एंड ये सारे विचार जो हैं वो इतने कैप्टिवेटिंग थे उसके लिए, बिकॉज दे वर फॉर अवे फ्रॉम हर रीच. बिकॉज दे वर फॉर अवे फ्रॉम हर रीच. Perhaps there were also people, exotic, एग्जॉटिक का मतलब होता है बहुत ही अद्भुत, interesting people of whom he never spoke. It was possible, though he was quiet and didn't make new friends easily. She longed to know them. She wished to know them. She wished she could be admitted more deeply into her brother's affections, love, and that someday he might take her with him. Though their father forbade, ban किया हुआ था, मना किया हुआ था, and the Joff had never expressed an opinion, she knew he thought her too young. And she was impatient. वो मचल रही थी, वो इम्पेशेंट हुई थी, उसमें कोई सहन नहीं कर पा रही थी. She was conscious of the cautious थी वो, vast world out there waiting for her, and she knew instinctively means without conscious thought, that she would feel as at home there as in the city which had always been her home. It expectantly means, oh, अधीरता के साथ awaited her arrival. Awaited her arrival. She saw herself riding there beyond job. देखो कितनी वो सपने देखने वाली है. अब वो क्या सपना देख रही थी? अपने भाई के पीछे बैठी हुई, मोटरसाइकिल के पीछे. He wore new shining black leathers and she a yellow dress with a kind of cape that flew out behind. There was the sound of applause as the world rose to greet her. Hi. अप्लॉज था, तालियां बजने की आवाजें थी जैसे ही वो उस संसार में पहुंची. सोफी ने इमेजिन किया अबाउट द ब्रदर्स पर्सनल लाइफ, और उसने ये सोचा कि उसका भाई अपनी लाइफ के बारे में कभी बताता नहीं है. बट मे बी ही न्यू सम नॉन नेटिव पीपल हु वर वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. Though she knew that her brother didn't have many friends, still she felt that it was possible. It was possible that he might have some special friends. So sometimes she wished she could come closer to her brother so that he would take her with him out. ले जाएगा उसे अपने साथ बाहर. वो जानती थी कि उसके फादर कभी भी अलाउ नहीं करेंगे इस बात को. इवन हर ब्रदर, वो भाई भी सोचता था कि अभी बहुत छोटी है बाहर जाने के लिए. बट वो अधीर हो रही थी, अब ज्यादा से ज्यादा अधीर होती जा रही थी और जाना चाहती थी बाहर. वो ये बिलीव करती थी कि वो वहां बहुत बहुत कंफर्टेबल रहेगी, जस्ट लाइक हर ओन सिटी. और एक उसने इमेजिन किया, उसके सपने में देखा, जीते दिन के सपने में, कि अपने भाई के पीछे मोटरसाइकिल में बैठी हुई है. उसने एक शाइनी ब्लैक लेदर की जैकेट पहनी हुई है और उसने एक ब्यूटीफुल येलो ड्रेस पाई हुई है और उसके जो चुनरी है पीछे लहरा रही है जैसे जैसे ही वो मोटरसाइकिल पे चल रहे हैं. उसने ये सपना देखा कि लोग जो हैं वहां जहां वो पहुंची उस संसार में खड़े हो गए उसके स्वागत के लिए. वो तालियां बजा रहे थे जैसे ही वो अपने भाई के साथ वहां पहुंची. He sat frowning, annoyed. Frowning का मतलब होता है annoyed, गुस्से में. At the oily components मतलब parts. Cradle means hold. He was holding in his hand, as though they were small dumb animals, and he was willing to speak. I met Tanikashi, Sophie said. He looked around abruptly. Abruptly means suddenly. Where? Where? In the arcade. आर्केड का मतलब होता है गैलरी. गैलरी एक दुकानों के आगे जो बरामदा होता है उसे आर्केड कहते हैं. Funnily enough, it is never true. I did too. You told that? She shook her head. Chastened means humbled, subdued. वो एकदम chastened हो गई, subdued हो गई. At his unawareness क्या होती है? Unawareness, उसकी नासमझी. That he was always the first to share her secrets. I don't believe it. There I was looking at the closet Royce's window with someone came and stood beside me. And I looked around. Who should it be but Danny Cassie? All right. What does he look like? Oh, come on, you know what he looks like? Close to, I mean. Well, he has green eyes, gentle eyes, and he's not so tall as you would think. You had thought you would think. She wondered if she should say about his teeth, but she decided against it. वो बैठे हुआ था उसका भाई, अनॉयड था वो आईली पार्ट थे मोटरसाइकिल के जो उसने हैंडल कर रहा था, जो उसके हाथ में थे, जैसे वो छोटे डम्ब एनिमल्स हों और वो उनसे बात करना चाहता हो। सोफी ने कहा मैं डैनी कैसी से मिली थी। उसने अचानक उसकी तरफ मुड़ के देखा, एकदम से अनाई, सडनली। क्या? वो कहने लगी बरामदे में, दुकान के बरामदे में, बहुत फनली था ये। इट्स नेवर ट्रू, उसने कहा नो, ये कभी सच नहीं हो सकता। कह रही आई डिड टू, यू टोल्ड। और भाई ने कहा पिताजी से बताया। उसने अपना सिर हिला दिया। वो अब वो जो थी, वो हम्बल हो गई है, सबड्यूड हो गई, कि वो क्या वो इतना भी नहीं जानता कि हमेशा मैं अपने सीक्रेट उसको पहले बताती हूँ, बाद में किसी और को। और भाई ने कहा आई डोंट बिलीव इट। कहती वहां मैं रॉयल्स की विंडोज पे विंडो शॉपिंग कर रही थी, कपड़े देख रही थी कि कोई आया पीछे से मेरे साथ खड़ा हो गया। मैंने जब देखा घूम के, तो वो कौन हो सकता था? वो डैनी किसी थे। भाई ने कहा ठीक है, वो कैसा लगता है ये मुझे बताओ, कैसा दिखता है? कहने लगी ओ कम ऑन, यू नो व्हाट ही लुक्स लाइक। कहती क्लोज टू, आई मीन नजदीक से कैसा दिखता है? कहती हाँ, उसकी आंखें नीली, ग्रिम, हरी चमकदार आंखें हैं उसकी, जेंटल, बहुत ही जेंटल, और वो इतना लंबा भी नहीं है जितना कि तुम सोचते हो। अब वो सोचने लगी कि शायद कि क्या उसे उसके दांतों के बारे बताना चाहिए, पर उसने कहा नहीं, मैं नहीं बताऊंगी दांतों के बारे में, मैं नहीं बताऊंगी दांतों के बारे में, आई वोंट टेल अबाउट हर टीथ। Their father has washed when he came in, and his face and arms were shiny and pink, and he smelled of soap. He switched on the television, tossed one of the little Derek shoes from his chair onto the sofa, and sat down with a grunt, with a grunt. Grunt means low, rough noise. करके. Sophie, Matt Danny Cassie, Job said. Sophie wriggled. Wriggle means चटपटाई. Twist किया, turn किया उसने. Wriggled. Well, she was sitting at the table. Her father turned her head to his thick neck to look at her. His expression was out of disdain, or one of disdains. Disdains मतलब disrespect, scorn, hateful, घृणा के. It's true, Job said. I once knew a man who had known Tom Finney, his father said reverently with a deep respect to the television. But that was long time ago, you told us. जब तक वो बाहर आई, दोनों भाई बहन, उनके पिताजी मुंह हाथ धो चुके थे और वो आ गए थे अंदर। उनका चेहरा और बाजू चमक रहे थे, पिंक थे, और उसमें से साबुन की खुशबू आ रही थी। उन्होंने टेलीविजन ऑन किया। डेरिक के उसकी चेयर उनकी चेयर पे डेरिक का एक शू पड़ा था, उठा के उसे सोफे पे फेंका और बड़ी आवाज करते हुए वो बैठ गए। अब जॉब ने कहा सोफी डेनी कैसी से मिली थी। सोफी छटपटाई, थोड़ी सी ट्विस्ट की जहां पर बैठी हुई थी। फादर ने अपना मोटी नेक के ऊपर सिर घुमाया उसकी तरफ, और उसके जो एक्सप्रेशन था वो घृणा का था, डिस्डेन का था, डिसरिस्पेक्ट का था। जॉब कहने लगा नहीं, ये सच है। और बाप ने कहा बड़े आदर के साथ, मैं भी एक ऐसे आदमी को जानता हूँ, वो जो टॉम फिनी भी अगेन ही वाज ए वेरी ग्रेट फुटबॉलर। बट दैट वाज लॉन्ग टाइम अगो, यू टोल्ड अस। जो आपने कहा बहुत साल पहले की बात है, आपने हमें बताया था। बहुत साल पहले की बात है, आपने हमें बताया था। कैसी माइट बी दैट गुड समडे, बेटर देन दैट इवन, ही इज द बेस्ट, he is the best. If he keeps his head on his shoulders, if they look after him properly, a lot of distractions. Sorry, distractions means diversions, disturbances. For a youngster in the game these days, he will be all right. He is what the best team in the country. He's very young yet. He's older than I am. Too young really for the first team. You can't argue that sort of ability. He's going to buy a shop. So he said from the table. His father grimaced. Grimaced. Grimaced means angry. He got angry. Wah! Had you heard that? He told me so. He muttered something inaudible and dragged himself in the round chair. Another of your wild stories? She met him in the arcade, Job said, and told him how it had been. One of these days you are going to talk yourself into a lot of trouble, his father said aggressively. Jaff knows it's true, don't you, Jaff? I don't believe you, though I would like to. अब उनकी बातचीत जो है they were discussing the football players now. Father said he thought that one day Casey might be become as good as Tom Finney. और भाई ने कहा someone among Job and Sophie replied Casey is better than as he was very talented. But their father didn't agree. He said that he was still very young and there were so many diversions for a young footballer. He might work hard. Joff didn't agree and said that he was the best. He is with the best team and the best player too. Meanwhile, Sophie told them that Cassie was going to buy a new shop. His father looked at her angrily, गुस्से से देखा, and asked her as to from where did she get to know this? कहाँ से सुना उसने? He doubted it to be another of her imaginations. कपोल कल्पित कहानी है उसकी. Her brother interrupted and said, she madam, her father warned her that such thing could lead her into trouble. She then tried to justify herself by saying that Jaff knew as it this and he trusted him. Her father replied that he didn't believe her, although he wanted to. Although he wanted to. The table lamp cast an amber glow. The table lamp cast an amber glow across her brother's bedroom wall and across the large poster of United First Team squad and the row of the colored photographs beneath, three of them of the young Irish prodigy. Prodigy means होता है एक ऐसा इंसान prodigy किसे कहते हैं? Prodigy कहते हैं एक बहुत ही जो एक मिसाल कायम करने वाला, एक मिसाल कायम करने वाला, a young person with extraordinary, with exceptional qualities. Promise you will not tell anyone, Sophie said. Nothing to tell, is there? Promise, Joff. Dad would murder me. Olive thought it was true. Please, Joff. Cried Sophie. You are still at school. Cassie must have strings of girls. Strings means a line of girls. A line of girls. Group of girls. No, he doesn't. How could you know that? He jeered. He jeered means he teased here. He teased her. He jeered her, teased her. He told me that was how, as if anyone would tell a girl something like that. और जो टेबल लैंप था जाफ रूम का जो था उसकी जो पूरा कमरा है फुटबॉलर्स की पिक्चर्स के साथ भरा हुआ था और एक there was a picture of Cassie also who has been described as a young Irish man with exceptional qualities. सोफी ने अपनी भाई को एक और सीक्रेट बताया but on a condition that he wouldn't tell this to their dad. उसका भाई never wanted to believe her but listened to her because of her undue stress. Then she told her that when she met him, it was she who started the conversation. कहता अभी उसने कहा नहीं सोफिया अभी तुम स्कूल में हो और कैसे के पास तो बहुत सारी लड़कियां उसके आगे पीछे घूमती होगी। वो कहने लगी नहीं ऐसा नहीं है। कहते तुम ऐसा कैसे कह सकते हो, उसने उससे मजाक किया। कहते उसने मुझे बताया। कहता कोई लड़का ऐसी बात किसी लड़की को बताएगा क्या, कभी बताएगा? कभी नहीं बताएगा। Yes, he did. He's not like that. He's quiet. Not as quiet as all that apparently. Not as quiet as all that apparently. Apparently का मतलब होता है evidently, seemingly, जो ऐसा लगता है, जैसा लगता है। It was nothing like that, Joff. It was me spoke first. When I saw who it was, I said, "Excuse me, but aren't you Danny Casey?" And he looked a sort of surprise and said, "Yes, that's right." And I knew it must be him because he had the accent. Accent मतलब बोलने की तरीका, बोलने का तरीका, उसकी बोलने की उसका eloquence. You know, like when they interviewed him on the television, so I asked him for an autograph for little Derek, but neither of us had any paper or pen. So then we just talked a bit about the cross in the Rice's window. He seemed lonely. After all, it's a long way from the west of Ireland. And then, just he was going, he said, if I would care to meet him the next week, he would give me an autograph then, of course. अब उसने कहा मेरे को ही वो बहुत क्वाइट है। कहता मुझे नहीं लगता कि इतना क्वाइट है जितना वो नजर आता है। कहते वो कहती है नहीं, इट्स नथिंग लाइक दैट जॉब, नो, इट्स नथिंग लाइक दैट। शी टोल्ड हम, फिर उसने कहा कि मैंने पहले उससे बात की थी। मैं जब उसे देखा वो कौन है, मैंने उसे कहा एक्सक्यूज मी, क्या आप डैनी केसी नहीं है? वो सरप्राइज था, उसने कहा हाँ मैं हूं। और मैं जानती थी कि वो वही होगा, क्योंकि उसकी जो बोलने का एक्सेंट थी, जब मैंने उसकी बातें सुनी थी, जब टेलीविजन पे उसको इंटरव्यू किया गया था। सो मैंने उससे पूछा कि मुझे एक ऑटोग्राफ देंगे, मेरे छोटे भाई के लिए ऑटोग्राफ मांगे। पर हम दोनों के में से किसी के पास भी कोई पेपर या पेन नहीं था। फिर हम और बातें करते रहे राइस विंडोज की कपड़ों के बारे में। वो लगता था बिल्कुल अकेला है, बहुत दूर से वेस्ट ऑफ आयरलैंड से आता है वो। एंड देन जैसे वो जा रहा था, ही सेड कि क्या मैं उससे अगले हफ्ते मिल सकता हूँ? तब वो मुझे ऑटोग्राफ देगा, ऑफ कोर्स, तब वो मुझे ऑटोग्राफ देगा। आई सेड आई वुड, as if he would have show up. Do you believe me now, didn't you? He dragged his jacket. Dragged का मतलब होता है pulled. Pulled his jacket. He dragged his jacket, which was shiny and shapeless, from the back of the chair and pushed his arms into it. She wished he paid more attention to his appearance. Wished she cared more about the clothes. He was tall with a strong dark face, handsome, she thought. It is the unlikeliest thing. It is the unlikeliest thing I have ever heard, she said. Unexpected, doubtful thing, most doubtful thing. मैंने कहा मैं जरूर मिलूंगी। कहता हाँ वो जरूर आएगा। आएगा क्या? कहते अब भी मुझ पर विश्वास नहीं है कि आप भी मिस्टरी के थे। और उसने कोई जवाब नहीं दिया। अपनी जैकेट उठाई जो चमकदार थी, पर उसके में प्रेस नहीं हुई थी, बैक ऑफ द चेयर थे, डाली। वो चाहती थी कि वो अपने आप पे ज्यादा ध्यान दे, अपनी अपीयरेंस पे, अपनी देख। वो विश करती थी कि अपने कपड़ों पे भी ज्यादा ध्यान दे। बहुत लंबा था, स्ट्रॉन्ग ट्रक फेस वाला, हैंडसम था, उसने सोचा। और जॉफ ने कहा ये बहुत ही डाउटफुल बात है जो मैंने आज तक से पहले कभी नहीं सुनी। इतनी डाउटफुल है कि बहुत ही डाउटफुल है। ऑन सैटरडे they made their weekly pilgrimage to watch United. Sophie and her father and little Derek went down near the goal. Joe, as always, went with his mates. Mates means friends. Higher up, United won 2-0 and the Cassie drove in the second goal. A brand of innocence and high Irish genius. going around with two big defenders on the edge of the penalty area, with her father screaming for him to pass and beating the hesitant goalkeeper from a dozen yards. Sophie glowed with pride. Afterward, Choff was ecstatic, means joyful, excited. I wish he was an Englishman, someone said on the bus. Ireland will win the World Cup, little Derek told his mother. When Sophie brought him home, her father had gone to the pub to celebrate. सैटरडे वो उनका काम था वो जो हैं लोग जो हैं इंग्लैंड के लोग वो फुटबॉल मैच को में देखने जाना फुटबॉल के ग्राउंड में उसे एक धार्मिक यात्रा समझते हैं पिलग्रमेज समझते हैं So on Saturday, Sophie, her father, or Dono brother, they went to see the football match of their favorite team, United. It was a regular thing for them because they were all huge fans of football. Sophie, Derek, and her father, वो they stayed near the goal और चाप जो है ऊपर चला गया अपने दोस्तों के साथ मैच देखने के लिए यूनाइटेड टीम ने मैच जीता 2-0 के साथ दूसरा गोल जो था कैसी ने किया था and it did it with such a perfection everyone was happy. Sophie was so happy that she glowed and Joff was so excited. Sophie's father went to pub after the match and so she brought her brother Derek back home. Derek told his mother that this time Ireland will win the match. Ireland will win the match. What are you been telling? Jency said next week. About what? You just told our Frank you met Danny Casey. That was not an inquisition. Inquisition means that was not an inquisition mean questioning. A question नहीं था. Just Chancy being noisy. Noisy here means cocky है वो noisy है वो curious था but Sophie was startled हैरान थी Sophie was startled वो हैरान थी oh just that Jancy frowned Sancy she was covering yes that well yes I did you never did Jancy exclaimed Sophie glared on the ground damn that job it was not this was a job thing, not of Jancy thing. It was meant to be something special, just between them. Something secret. It was not a Jancy kind of thing at all. Tall, gawky. Gawky means outspoken. Gawky means outspoken. Gawky means outspoken, graceless. Jancy something like that, and the whole neighborhood would get to know it. Damn that job. Was nothing secret. जेंसी अगले हफ्ते जब मिली सोफी को बोली क्या तुम बहुत बता रही हो लोगों को व्हाट यू आर टेलिंग क्या बता रही हो लोगों को कहती किसके बारे में तुम्हारे जॉब ने हमारे फ्रैंक के उसको बताया कि तुम डैनी कैसी से मिली थी मेरे भाई फ्रैंक को ओ दिस वाज नॉट एन इनक्वेशन ये सोफी सरप्राइज्ड asked her the reason for asking her this question. She told that her brother Geoff told Jency's brother Frank that Sophie had met Jenny Casey. Sophie got angry because she had never thought that her brother would disclose her secret. She was worried about Jancy because Jancy had the habit of sharing secrets with the whole of the neighborhood, which she didn't want to happen. Sophie get angry with Geoff's behavior. Sophie get angry with Geoff's behavior. It's a secret meant to be. I'll keep it a secret so if you know that. I wasn't going to tell anyone. There will be right there'll be a right or old row if my dad gets to hear about it. Old row. Much nice. Nice. Jancy blinked. A row? I would have thought he would be chuffed as anything. Chuffed means cheerful. She realized that the Jency didn't know about the date bit. Joff hadn't told about that. She breathed more easily, so Joff hadn't let her down after all. He believed in her after all. After all, something might be sacred. It was just a little thing, really. I asked him for an autograph, but we hadn't any paper or pen, so it was no good. How much had Job said? Jesus, I wish I would have been there. Of course, my dad didn't want to believe it. You know what a miserly he is? But the last thing I need is queues of people around our house asking him, what's all about this Danny Cassie? He would murder me. And you know how my mom gets when she there's a row? Then she said, hushed. You can't trust me, Joff. You know that? Sophie explained to Jency that it was her secret, and she didn't want to share it because then people would line up outside their house and ask about this. Her dad would kill her about this. Jency got surprised to hear this. She said that she thought that her father would be happy to hear this, but Sophie told her that it was not so, and the continuous noise of the neighbors could disturb her mother too. She realized that Jency was not aware of each and everything, so she felt happy that her brother did kept some secret, some part is secret. She then told her that she had met him and asked for an autograph, but couldn't get it because of lack of pen and pencil. She even tells Jency that her dad didn't believe her, but Jency promised her to keep it a secret. After dark, she walked by the canal along a sheltered path, lighted only by the glare. Glare means chamak of the lamps from the wharf. Wharf का मतलब होता है dock across the water, and uneasing drone means drone means shorogul of the city was muffled मतलब messed up, was muffled means messed up, and distant का मतलब है दूर से आता हुआ. It was a place she had often played in when she was a child. There was a wooden bench beneath a solitary with a single tree. Alm is a very tall tree, where lovers sometimes come. She sat down to wait. It was a perfect place, she had always thought so, for a meeting of this kind, for those who wished not to be observed. She knew he would approve. For some while waiting, she imagined his coming. She watched along the canal, seeing him come out of the shadows, imagining her own cons- consequent excitement, consequent लगातार उठती हुई excitement. But until some time had elapsed, बीत गया, did she begin balancing against this idea of his not coming. It was after dark, शाम के बाद थी. सोफी गई एक शेल्टर पार्क में जो कि कैनाल के किनारे था, दूर था नॉइज सिटी की शोरगुल से दूर. यहाँ वो खेला करती थी एज बचपन में, एज ए चाइल्ड. एक वुडन बेंच था, एक अकेला एल्म का ट्री था वहां बहुत लंबा, उसके नीचे जहां प्रेमी लोग आके कभी कभी बैठते थे. वो बैठ के ही वहां इंतजार करने लगी. शी गॉट लॉस्ट इन हर इमेजिनेशन ऑफ कैसी कमिंग टू मीट हर. उसने सोचा कि कैसी इसको अप्रेज करेगा, प्रूव करेगा. इट्स ए परफेक्ट प्लेस. इमेजिन किया उसने कि वो आ रहा है, वो उसे मिलने आ रहा है. शे और फिर केनाल की तरफ देखा. उसने देखा कि वो आ रहा है साय में से निकलकर. इमेजिन करने लगी अपनी एक्साइटमेंट्स को, अपनी लगातार उठने वाली एक्साइटमेंट को. और फिर कुछ टाइम बीता. आफ्टर ए व्हाइल शी रियलाइज्ड ही वाज नॉट कमिंग. इट वाज जस्ट हर इमेजिनेशन. अपने आप को बैलेंस करने लगी. इस आइडिया को देखकर कि वो नहीं आ रहा, कि वो नहीं आ रहा. Here I sit, she said to herself, wishing Danny would come, wishing he would come and sensing the time passing. I feel the pangs. I feel the pangs. Pangs mean deep pains, sharp pains of doubt stirring inside me. I watched for him, but still there's no sign. I remember Job saying he would never come, and how none of them believed me when I told them. I wonder what will I do? What can I tell them now if he doesn't come? But I know it was Danny and me. That's the main thing. How can you help when people choose to believe? But all the same, it makes me desperate. It makes me despondent. Despondent here means disheartened, disheartened, disheartened. This, knowing I will never be able to show them they are wrong to doubt me. She waited, measuring in this way the changes taking place in her. Resignation was no sudden thing. Resignation means resignation means leaving, departure was not a sudden thing. अब वो सोचने लगी. Many thoughts came to Sophie's mind. बहुत सारे विचार आए. She waited for Danny to come, but he didn't come to meet him. She felt a deep pain inside her. She thought that people didn't believe her story. If Danny came, she could tell them that she was not lying. Again, she thought that it is not easy thing to make everyone believe oneself. As so many thoughts were coming to her mind, she felt like many changes were taking place in her side. All this was very painful and she wanted to leave now. And she wanted to leave now. Now I have become sad, she thought. Now I have become sad, she thought. And it's a hard burden to carry. This sadness, sitting here, waiting and knowing he will not come, but I can see the future now, how I will have to live with this burden. They, of course, will doubt me as they always doubted me, but I will live to hold up my head, remembering how it was. I already envisage. Envisage means envisage, predict. The slow walk home and Job's disappointed face when I tell him he didn't come that Danny, and then he will fly out and slam the door. But we know how it was. I shall tell myself, Danny and me, it's a hard thing, this sadness, she said, climbing the crumbling broken steps to the street. Outside the pub, she passed her father's bicycle, propped up means khada hua against the wall, and was glad he wouldn't be there when she went home. Sophia udas ho gayi. She felt it to be very tough to bear that burden that Danny didn't come to meet her. She had been waiting for him, though she knew that he would never come. She was also worried about what people would doubt her and disbelieve on what she said. She also thought that Job would beat hard against the door on knowing that Denny didn't come to meet her. So she is quiet and sad now as she was walking back to her home. She saw her father's bicycle in front of the pub. She felt happy that she would not have to face her father on reaching home. Excuse me, but aren't you Danny Cassie? Coming through the arcade, she pictured him again outside Royce's. He turns reddening slightly. Yes, that's right. I watch you every week with my dad and my brothers. I think you are great. Oh, well, now, that is very nice. I wonder, would you mind signing an autograph? His eyes are on the same level as your own. His nose is freckled. Freckled means पेल ब्राउन ऑन स्पॉट्स ऑन द स्किन उन्हें फ्रेकल्ड कहते हैं स्किन के ऊपर पेल ब्राउन स्पॉट्स होते हैं and turns upwards slightly and when he smiles It does so shyly, exposing teeth with gaps between. His eyes are green, and when he looks straight into at you, they seem shimmer, chamakna, टिमटिमाना. They seem gentle, almost afraid, like a gazelle. Gazelle हिरन को बोलते हैं. डरी हुई, हिरन जैसी. And you look away. You let his eyes run over you a little, and then you come back to find them slightly breathless. And you calm them slightly breathless. While Sophie was returning her home, she passed through the Rice's boutique. She again imagined meeting Danny Casey. She again tried to initiate a talk with him by asking him if he was Danny Casey and also asked her for an autograph. और उसने कहा कि मैं आपको हर वीक देखती हूँ मेरे पिताजी और मेरे भाइयों के साथ और हम सोचते हैं कि आप बहुत बड़े फुटबॉल प्लेयर हैं उसने कहा यू आर वेरी नाइस कहती है मुझे आप ऑटोग्राफ देंगे वो कहती है वो कहती है आपकी आंखें 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 उनकी उसकी सेम लेवल पे है जैसी तुम्हारी है उसका नाक के ऊपर धब्बे हैं ब्राउन रंग के ऊपर उठा हुआ है थोड़ा-सा और जब वो हँसता है, तो शर्मा के हँसता है। उसके दाँत नज़र आते हैं, उनके बीच में गैप है और उसकी आँखें जो हरी हैं, नीली हैं और जब वो आपके स्ट्रेट आपकी तरफ देखता है, तो ऐसा लगता है जैसे वो शिमर कर रही, चमक रही। वो ऐसी जेंटल है, बिल्कुल हिरन जैसी डरी हुई और आप नज़रें घुमा लेते हैं। फिर आप आप उसकी आँखों को आपके ऊपर चलने देते हैं। फिर आप वापिस आते हैं तो पाते हैं कि उसका थोड़ा सांस फूला हुआ है and he says I don't seem to have a pen. I don't seem to have a pen at all. You realize you haven't either. My brothers will be very sorry, you say, and afterwards you wait there alone in the arcade for a long time, standing where he stood, remembering the soft melodious voice, the shimmer of green eyes, no taller than you, no bolder than you, the prodigy, the innocent genius, the great delicacy. और जब उसने उसे ऑटोग्राफ के लिए कहा they both realized that none of them had a pen either or a paper. She felt sad for her brothers. When Cassie left, she kept standing there, thinking of his sweet voice, his green eyes, his innocence, and his geniusness. And then his imagination took her to the football match. Same she had witnessed with her family last Saturday. And she saw it all again last Saturday. Saw him ghost past. Ghost past का मतलब होता है एकदम से पास्ट कर जाना. Yes. The lumbering, झुके हुए, चलते हुए defenders heard the 50,000 catch their breath as he hovered, flied momentarily over the एक क्षण के लिए जैसे उड़ा over the ball and then the explosion of the sound as he stuck it crisply into the goal. The sudden thunderous explosion of exultant. Exultant means overjoyed approbation, approval, acceptance. देखा उसने फिर देखा. Then her imagination took her back to the football match she had watched with her family last Saturday. She imagined the Danny Casey striking the goal in such a heroic way that she felt an explosion on the football ground. She felt so overjoyed with the winning of the United team and with the heroic performance of the Danny Casey, her hero. So this is all. What is this story is? मेरे विचार में आप लोगों को अच्छी तरह समझ आ गई होगी ये कहानी. मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आपको बहुत अच्छी तरह आपके समझ आ गई होगी और आप इस पोजीशन में हैं कि आप अब इसके आंसर्स दे सकते हैं. तो आप मैं आपसे कुछ प्रश्न पूछूंगा. कुछ आई विल बी हैविंग a question session. I'll be asking you some questions. You will be remembering them and I will be giving answers also. And to make you let know to believe that you know the answers. So my first question to you is, where it was it most likely that the two girls would find work after the school? Where it was most likely that the two girls would find work after the school. And according to me, the answer is Sophie and Jency would soon pass out of the school. Only a few months were left. Jency knew very well that both of them were earmarked for biscuit factory. Sophie had wild dreams about her career. Jency was a realistic. She knew that they didn't pay well for shop work, and Sophie's father wouldn't allow her to work there. And Sophie's father wouldn't allow her to work there. And here's the second question, my dear. What were the options that Sophie was dreaming of? Why does Jency discourage her from having such dreams? What were the options that Sophie was dreaming of? And why does Jency discourage her from having such dreams? And the probable answer is Sophie wanted to open a boutique. It would be most amazing shop that city had ever seen. Alternatively, she would become an actress and have the boutique as a side business. She also thought of being a fashion designer. Chancy had her feet firmly planted on the ground. She wanted Sophie to be sensible and drop all her utopian plans because all of them required much money and experience. Next question. Why did Sophie wrangle when Joff told her father that she had met Danny Casey? And the answer is Sophie knew her father well. He would be angry if he knew of her meeting with the young Irish footballer Danny Casey. She didn't tell him. When Joff told his father about it, he became angry. He turned his head to look at her with disdain. Sophie wrinkled where she was sitting on the table. And the next question to you is, my dear children, does Joff believe what Sophie said about her meeting with Danny Casey? Does Joff believe what Sophie says about her meeting with Danny Casey? No, Joff doesn't believe what Sophie says about her meeting with Delicacy. First, he looks around in disbelief and says, "It can't be true." Again, he says, "I don't believe it." Sophie then narrates how Delicacy came and stood beside her. Joff asked her, "What does he look like?" So he doesn't seem to be convinced that Sophie met Delicacy. Next question, my dear children. Does her father believe her story? Again, no. Again, no. Sophie's father doesn't believe her story. When Joff tells him that Sophie met Danny Casey, his father looked at Sophie with disdain. He ignores her totally. He thinks that it is yet another wild story. He begins to talk about Tom Finney, another great footballer. Another great footballer. Next question. Why didn't Sophie want Jesse to know about her story with Danny? Yes, Jency was very interested in things that didn't concern her. She wanted to know other people's affairs. She would spread the news in the whole neighborhood. So Sophie didn't want Jency to know about her story with Danny. It may also be mutual rivalry, and one-upmanship on her part. Sophie was startled to learn that Joff has told Jency about her story with Danny. My next question to you is, Sophie and Jency, it's very important, my dear children. Sophie and Jency were classmates and friends. What were the differences between them that show up in the story? Sophie and Jency are poles apart in tastes and temperament. Sophie has fantastic dreams and floats in the fairyland. She is incurable escapist who won't come out of her dreams. Jency is down to earth, a realist. Sophie wants to do something sophisticated. Jency knows that these things require a lot of money which their family don't possess. Jency also knows that they were earmarked for the biscuit factory. She even advises Sophie to be sensible and practical. Sophie considers Jancy noisy and doesn't want to confide in her. Next question. How would you describe the character and temperament of Sophie's father? Yes. Sophie's father has a plumpy face, looking grimly and sweaty. It doesn't seem to be a sort of sophisticated man. Sophie fears his aggressive manliness. He is a realist and doesn't believe in his daughter's wild stories. He loves watching football. He hopes young Casey would be as good as Tom Finney. He wishes that the young footballer keeps away from all distractions. He shouts instructions to Cassie at the playground when the Irish genius beat the hesitant goalkeeper. Sophie's father screams with joy and pride. He goes to the pub to celebrate the victory. He goes to the pub to celebrate the victory.
इस वीडियो को लास्ट तक देखने के लिए थैंक यू। अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आया है तो इसे लाइक और शेयर करें। सब्सक्राइब करना बिल्कुल ना भूलें। अगर आपको कोई डाउट है तो कमेंट सेक्शन में उसे लिखें, हम जल्दी ही उसका रिप्लाई देंगे।